Spock makes this statement about Kylie 279 that they figured out how to make a warp bomb without making a warp drive, and he says bombs for theory, something like this. Let's watch it.
In fact, not once in the entire history of first contact has warp and first developed as anything but a drive. Put another way, the nuclear bomb could have been invented before particle physics. It simply never has been.
So I thought that we had particle physics before the nuclear bomb. Yeah, we did, right?
I mean, not as we know it today. I mean, I think it was fairly rudimentary particle physics.
I see. And I guess I would say it's more like nuclear physics before particle physics branched off into its quark stuff, like ups and downs and strange charming, that type of stuff. So we're just doing like nuclear stability, and if you have an atom here, is it shooting out neutrons or something, right? And so then you were telling me this several months ago. It was, how was the atomic bomb predicted?
I think it wasn't some, as far as I understand, I don't think it was some like heavy nuclear physics. It was really more statistical, I think, where it was like they knew that one neutron hitting a uranium atom would split up the atom, release energy, but also release 3 neutrons, which could then subsequently go hit other uranium atoms. And based on the, and then repeat. And based on the geometry and the probabilities of those neutrons causing subsequent decays, there is a critical mass where that it becomes a chain reaction. I think that's like geometry and counting, though. Right. That's not like heavy nuclear physics.
If you had 2 atoms, if you have this, like, if you hit one with a neutron, it could split into 2 dotted nuclei and then send out 3 neutrons, but there's some probability of them going different directions. So you need to have enough other atoms around such that these 3 neutrons are actually captured and then cause their own decay, which then means a critical mass. I see.
That's right. And I think if you don't get a chain reaction, you just get normal radioactivity, which means a lot of the neutrons are escaping the uranium itself.
It's like dangerous. It's lethal to anyone nearby, but it's not a bomb. It's not a chain reaction explosion. I see.
Right. So when he says we didn't have nuclear physics before, we had nuclear physics and particle physics before the bomb. I mean, yes, but maybe an alien civilization looking at us be like, they got the bomb pretty early.
Yeah, I've thought about this. I've thought about this in other aspects of science where we know the best of what we know now, but we are continually updating our theories based on of evidence that contradicts what we currently think. And you get new evidence, it says you contradicts, you come up with a new idea that includes everything. And so from an alien's perspective, who may have much better understanding of nuclear physics, they may look at us and say, you guys got a bomb, but you got it by accident.
Right. Especially if we didn't have uranium easily available on planet Earth that we could mine in sufficient quantities, we wouldn't have that to get. We'd have to like go to another planet and get it, or like manufacture it, which you'd have to have a really strong prediction of, like, somebody would have to be like, this element on the periodic table is going to be radioactive and we can make bombs out of it. But we have to go find it. It's
like, but how do you know it's going to be radioactive? You don't have it. Just a prediction. Like, without the data point, without the experimental knowledge to guide the theory.
Yep.
How good is your theory?
Yeah. So maybe in 100 years we look back at the theory we had and be like, wow, they made the bomb with those rudimentary theories. Or maybe the theories we had at the time were sufficient.
It's like, given the assumption that was built into your theory, it worked out. But if you had realized that it wasn't a good assumption, like it worked out in your scenario, but it won't in others, then you actually got it by accident.
Right.
My thought about this was, could we have made a nuclear bomb truly by accident? And my thought was, if we have uranium and it's shooting out neutrons that have kinetic energy, we could convert this into thermal energy. This is how nuclear reactors work for power plants.
Yep.
And if you did not have the mind, like, if you're not in the mindset, if we weren't already in a war, we may have thought, well, let's use this heat source as power, and and we have a lot of people that we want that need a lot of power. Let's just make a really big heat source, and so we could have accidentally found critical mass just by making the biggest heat source we could have with uranium.
That's right. That's true. Do you know this accidental natural nuclear reactor in Africa?
What do you mean?
No, it's crazy. Like the geology of this one particular location in Africa, you could argue is some kind of like self-cycling nuclear reactor in the geology. It's crazy. Is this can we quickly look this up? I just want to make sure that I'm not just pulling this out of my ass here.
Africa nuclear reactor. That
Like,
does not feel like a good search
Natural?
term.
Natural? Yeah,
Meet
it's...
Oklo, the Earth's 2 billion year old only known nuclear reactor.
Yeah. And I forget the principles behind it. But I think there was a time when somebody like detected, they're like, I got a nuclear reactor in Africa, what's going on? I was like, oh, it's actually a natural.
I see. Physicists' first logical response to such an unusual ratio of U-235 was that it was not natural uranium. I see. Examination of this high-grade ore from a mine in Gabon was found to contain a lower portion of 235, the fissile sort. I see.
Yeah.
So like the uranium 235 that we have to enrich is just naturally occurring here.
Yeah. So maybe it's just something we could look up on our science channel because it's kind of a cool thing.
Down.
But nature made a nuclear situation by accident. So I think a bomb might be possible.